I think the government is worried because what we've noticed is that every time Imran Khan, through the PTI, has issued call for people to get to a point which is referred to as the D chart, the government gets into this habit of putting in containers. Because the fear is essentially what happened even previously last year is that once you have a whole lot of protesters coming inside very close to the seat of government, you never know what's going to happen. And so that's a security issue, but it's also the fear that if they manage to come and sit in front of the parliament or close to that area, the message that it would give is that the government is not in power. And that's not really what the government wants. And again, it's a trend which isn't new. If we look at history, the government, whoever was in power, has done that at least for the last 10 years. And so it's just another replay of the same saga. But the speed with which the government now does that and the extent to which these blockades are placed actually tells you that somehow they are worried. They are worried about unexpected changes, but they're also worried about how it might appear to be strengthening Imran Khan's position.
Does history also tell us that this has the capacity to destabilize Pakistan further, given the number of people who've been arrested?
See, just being arrested on its own shouldn't be seen as a sort of beginning of instability in Pakistan. At a certain level, Pakistan has gone through instability right through its history since 1947. But what it does tell us is that being arrested, especially people from the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Northwest Province, who are mostly leading this move towards Islamabad, it indicates that there is a very strong pro-Imran Khan PTI presence there. And it could give a sense, which sadly has started coming into discussion in Pakistan, that is Pakistan going to somehow implode? I don't think it's coming to that point, but the fear is that with those people being arrested, what is likely to happen? Would it give a sense of insecurity to people in Islamabad and around the country? Or would it also create a narrative that somehow Pakistan is not united? And I think all these considerations play in the minds of the people who make these decisions. But this fear, what I would argue is that this whole policy of placing containers started 10, 15 years ago. And since then, it's picked up because every time there's a greater threat, greater perception of threat from whoever is the other side, the government gets into overdrive. If we go back into 2014, when Imran Khan led, in fact, a similar march towards the parliament and was joined by Tahir al-Qadri, another Islamist group. The government did exactly that, but then somehow the people were able to move the containers and go and park themselves in front of the parliament. But that's because they had groups supporting them from within what we call the establishment. This time it's different, but still I think the establishment does fear that if these people come into it, it would, one, give a message that the government in itself isn't strong. Two, it would give the message that Imran Khan is strong. And three, it would also cast doubts on the ability of the military, which has been the custodian of law and order, is not really guaranteed. So I think all those things create an image of instability, but I still think things are not any more different than they have been, at least for the last 10 years.
So when you talk about image, I mean, Imran Khan, his supporters in the PTI, his party, but also allies have always claimed that the charges and the cases against him are purely politically motivated. Is that the view globally as well? Is that the impression that the international community currently has of Pakistan?
Look, at one level, if you look at the way the charges were levied, and then again, the decisions that came just before early this year's elections in February, it's very clear that there was a concerted effort to make sure that Imran Khan and PTI members would not be able to come back into power. But to the extent that this has happened, there's definitely an understanding globally that Imran Khan is not being given a fair chance to take the position that I think his party has established. But there's another side which I think we tend to miss, which is those who come out on the streets or those who go and mobilize people overseas, and even those of Pakistani background who protest around the world, they present one side of the story. There is another side of the story, which is where people are not pleased with what Imran Khan has done. And they are more of a silent majority or silent equivalent community. And if they come out, then basically the fear is that maybe there'll be more clashes. So while the global image is one of saying Imran Khan needs to be treated more fairly, and I would agree with that, we shouldn't think that that is the uniform position locally in Pakistan and globally.
And how much of that do you think has to do with when Imran Khan was in power, the policies that he had, particularly across the region, that he was in lockstep, I suppose, with China, who would hardly criticize China for anything, and something that India was quite worried about? Is that maybe part of what that majority, that silent majority you were speaking of, thinking in their minds?
I don't think it's that clear because the way the people that I've talked to and the ideas that I pick up when I talk to people in Pakistan or visit, what it indicates to me is that there's some people who think that Imran Khan has become more like a cult leader. And in that sense, even though he's got a huge appeal and people will do anything for him, those who are on his side, the fear is that he hasn't really used that for productive or positive change in Pakistan. And so these people who suffer because of demonstrations, even containers being placed around Islamabad and in other parts of the country, they suffer economically. And so from their point of view, it's not so much the foreign policy, it's what it does to their lives. And as far as China-Pakistan relationship during Imran Khan's government is concerned, I don't think the record is as positive as we may want to think, because in fact there was very clear indications from Imran Khan that he wasn't giving the Chinese the due recognition which Chinese felt that should have been given to them. And so it's not so much Pakistan-China side, it's what Imran Khan is doing to Pakistan at the moment. But again, as I said, it's a battle of two narratives. One is Imran Khan is the savior, and the other one is he may have been a savior, but look what he has done to Pakistan, what it's done to the lives of ordinary people. But which one wins? That's something which I think the government is worried about.
Okay, Professor Samina Yasmeen, always great to get your analysis. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.